Welcome back to episode 17 of Plat'n. Today we've got another absolute banger of an account from my neighbours in New Zealand with L0sT New Zealand, KazeKage. KazeKage, his account is about 10 years old with their first trophy and their first platinum, also being in the same game with Naruto Shippuden something something something. I've forgotten the second part of this heading because I'm a professional. Now, if you'd like your own list reviewed at some point, we've got quite a long lineup at this point, do leave it in the comments or join the Platinum Standard, a Discord for trophy hunters made by trophy hunters, namely myself. It's a good place. Now let's jump into the list. Alrighty, so let's change with this episode. I'm in a new house, did a cheeky move through the week. I've got hair, that's different. But what isn't different is we're starting the list off with another cheeky Plague Tale Innocence. I think we've seen this every week for like 7 weeks in a row as the first game on the account. I've said it 7 weeks in a row, this is a fantastic game. It's essentially just an escort mission the whole way, but it's like 18th century France, maybe a little bit, probably a little bit earlier than that, maybe like 16th century France. You're trying to escape a rat plague with your younger brother who has some special rat powers. A way out, this is the one you break out of prison with another player or just your feet on another controller. I know a few people have actually done that with A Way Out, and It Takes Two in games like that where they've used one controller with their hands and one with their feet, and that is incredible if you ask me. A fantastic game, one that I've been meaning to get around to myself at some point. We then have Abzu, the diving one. It doesn't have a platinum trophy, so it's always nice to see 100% getting some love like L0sT has done here. You're diving progressively deeper into sort of unique territories, whether those be corals, whether those be underwater ruins, all the fun stuff, it's all there. And it's a relatively short one. It took you around a week and 2 hours. I know that this can be done in around, I want to say 6 hours if you really just tried to bang it out. We then have Assassin's Creed Origin 100%. The first of the Witcher clone Assassin's Creeds, the good Witcher clone Assassin's Creed. Bayek is, in my opinion, one of the best Assassin's Creed protagonists. I really enjoyed, surprisingly, Egypt. I remember when this game came out, because I think it was about 2017. I remember thinking that Egypt was going to suck, because Egypt's empty for the most part. All the civilizations along the Nile, or along the coast. Surprisingly not bad. There was quite a lot to do, and the areas that were big and open you didn't really have to go into, which was nice. We then have Valhalla. You haven't got the platinum or any of the DLCs. I don't blame you, but I am curious as to what it is you are missing for the platinum. I'm gonna guess, and I'm gonna say it's no, I'm not gonna guess, because you're actually only missing story here. Okay, some treasure that's just collectibles. Complete all the territory sucks. That's grindy. That's going to all the little dots on the map and finding the stuff. So you must have done DLC then. Yeah, you have. Okay. So you've done the island DLC, which sucks. You've done one of the masteries. I need to go back and do those masteries at some point. You haven't done Siege of Paris, which is the good one. I highly recommend that one. Teams of the Fallen you've knocked out. Okay, this is interesting. Is this one you ever plan on going back to, L0sT? Because you don't have too much awful stuff. You've got quite a large chunk of story, the grind in the collectibles, but not anything too awful. You could probably knock it out in a week. You then have Astro's Playroom. This is the very charming little platformer that is built into every PS5. Most people's first platinum on the PS5, hence the 53.10% completion rate right there. The 100% is just, I think it's 6 speed runs. They're all very doable. They're all quite enjoyable. They have some interesting mechanics in them, such as, skating across ice or running across sand and that sort of fun stuff. We then have Battlefield 1's 100%. Platinum, no 100%. I don't blame you. I do know that a lot of those DLC weapons do require essentially to rent a server, I believe, because you've got to grind in maps that just simply aren't played anymore. It's one that I'd actually love to do myself at some point. So L0sT, if you have any of the DLC weapons, I know there's a few people in the Discord we could probably pull together to see if we can spread those around and share the love, you might say. Battlefield 4, this is a modern Battlefield. I think it's No, because I think it's the most recent modern Battlefield. I'm going to say that Battlefield 2046 is not modern. That's futuristic because it happens in 2046, which is 20 years' time. So I think it's the last one of those. It wasn't one that gripped me too much. There's a lot of DLC in Battlefield 4. I remember because I'm trying to think. I bought Battlefield 3 at launch. It was buggy, but I thought it was okay. I bought Hardline near launch. Didn't like Hardline, and I think because of that, I didn't buy Battlefield 4. But I think I now own it through a sale where it was for like $3 or something. But it's interesting to see that you smashed out the Platinum there. Juicy 6.5% is always nice to see. We then have Bleach, Soul Resurrection. I think Bleach is an anime or it's a cleaning product. I couldn't tell you which one that is. We then have Bloodborne. You didn't get too far into Bloodborne. Okay. You did it this year in January. So I'm now curious about Bloodborne. Let's go. Let's have a gander. What are we missing here? Says the guy who also hasn't finished Bloodborne on their account. In my defense, I own it physically, and my PS5 is a digital console, so I can't play the DLC that I own, which means I don't have access to my save, which really sucks because I love Bloodborne. I got the Platinum on an older account called Mudstuffin767 if you wanted to look it up on PSNP. So we've got some runes. We defeated some of the earlier bosses. You got to Bergenworth, Gascoigne, Shadows of Yharnam. You defeated Rom. It looks like Rom was the last thing you did, and I do not blame you. Rom is kind of a sucky boss fight if I'm being honest. Don't like Rom. We then have Borderlands 100% on the Platinum on the PS3. No 100%. I'm guessing it's probably the Claptrap DLC where you've got to get a million parts, or is the zombie one? The zombie one might be the one on Borderlands 1. This is obviously, in my opinion, would I say it's probably the second best Borderlands. I do really like the first game, but I think Borderlands 2 might pip it for top spot. I remember it had really awful trophies in that version where you had to kill someone who had played with or killed one of the devs or something. I remember that being in the PS3 version of the game. I don't think that was ported to the PS4 version though. We then have Bully. This is Rockstar's GTA for kids, which, speaking of GTA, how awesome are those spoilers? Do let me know what you think about GTA 6's spoilers in the comments below. So Bully is, you play as a troubled teenager or youth, as the old people like myself would say, going to a private school. You've got to do a bunch of missions that are very GTA inspired. You've got to collect some collectibles, and you've got to go to classes, which is a cool feature. You've got to go and maintain your grades in things like English, science, and math, which, if anyone was like me in school, you didn't. We then have only one Call of Duty, but it is your most recent game, and you are very close to that Platinum trophy. What do you have left? I actually reckon by the time I release this, L0sT might have it. L0sT might have it, because they're essentially on the same time zone as me, which means they're probably playing right now. Find 30 enemy intel. That's just, there's a couple in each mission. Destroy all the TVs showing L0sT's speech. I think that's unique to one mission. It's in the TV station. You just shoot them all out in one. There's like a room where there's a bunch of like workers' cubicles that all have TVs, I think, from memory. You just shoot those out. It's easy peasy. And kill all 4 tanks in the overpass with the Javelin missile in the bog. I don't remember that being difficult either. The one that I remember being really annoying was, where is it? Shoot the no, that's not it. There's one for like mortar striking a bunch of helicopters, and it was awful. I don't see it here, but it is in the game. I pinky promise. We then have Cat Quest, which I know next to nothing. There it is on the screen. I've got to remember that the cropping is slightly different this week. I know nothing about Cat Quest other than it's fairly easy and cruisy, but also a lot of people really enjoy it. Concrete Genie, 95%. You don't have a VR, do you, Lost? I know that pain myself. Very fun, enjoyable game where you essentially are creating a bunch of monsters and creatures and stuff on walls as you explore a world and get collectibles and stuff. I really enjoyed it, actually. It was free on PS Plus, I want to say February of last year being 2021. We then get into the Crash games here. You don't have Crash 4, but you do have the Platinums in Crash Bandicoot 1 and 3. No Platinum in number 2. I'm going to say that some of the relics are stopping you there. We then have Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, which I played on an alt account. And it just didn't, for some reason, I loved the game as a kid, but it didn't really gel with me too much. You, on the other hand, smashed out 71% of it, which is super impressive. We then have Cult of the Lamb, 27 of 37 trophies. I am curious, Lost, is that because some of the trophies unfortunately glitched on you? I do know that some of the card trophies can be a little buggy. I actually want to play this very soon. I need to squeeze a couple more games that came out this year onto my account so that I can do a Game of the Year video in the next couple months. So that one is definitely on my to-do list. 3 out of 10 difficulty, 1 playthrough, 15 hours. That is juicy. You love to see it. We then have the Platinum in Dark Souls Remastered, which in my opinion is the best Dark Souls game. I think Dark Souls 3 is quite good as well, but I definitely have an issue with it where I feel a lot of the bosses were a little bit too Bloodborne-y. I kind of like the more slower, clunkier style of Dark Souls 1 and to a more extreme attempt at Dark Souls 2. Death Stranding, you've done 50%. This is essentially post-apocalyptic Postman Simulator. We then have Deathloop, you've barely done, but you did start it last month, to be fair. I know the DLC just dropped like a day or two ago, I believe. Deathloop is a game where you are traversing a semi-open world, and anytime you die, you go back to the start of the loop. Because, roguelikes are a thing at the moment. You've got to kill a certain number of bosses to beat the game, I believe is the sort of basic concept. Deliver Us the Moon. Wow. This game broke for me. This game broke so hard for me. I had to uninstall and reinstall Deliver Us the Moon twice going for the Platinum. Most of the trophies kind of just popped whenever they felt like it. Like story ones were completely out of order. But the game itself is interesting. You're essentially an astronaut sent to the moon, believe it or not, to save the facility, I believe, find out what happened. I don't quite follow the story. I wasn't paying that much attention just because I was kind of grumpy about the fact that I had to uninstall and reinstall it so many times. But it's worth a play. It's a 40% Platinum. You'll be done in a day tops kind of thing, as you can see by Lost doing it in a day and 11 minutes. Demon Souls, 100%. Boy, Demon Souls, I remember liking it on the PS3. I don't like the PS5 version, and which essentially is the same thing but prettier. But there are just some awful areas in that game. The one on the Stormy World, it's the second one. I think it's called the Ritual Path. Is the worst area in a Souls game by far. Forget some of those awful Dark Souls 2 areas in the DLCs. That takes the cream of the crop, and I originally was going to make a Platinum video on it for this channel, and I might still go back to it one day. If you actually remember in the Resident Evil 7 video right at the end, I teased that it's going to be the next one and it just never was. That's because I got to that area and was just so sick of the game that I put it down. I'm sure I'll go back to it one day, but it is not this day. We then have Detroit Become Human. I've talked about this one quite a bit on the channel. This is one of the David Cage games. It's the weakest in my opinion. I got very sick of going back and doing multiple playthroughs for magazines, which judging by the look of your trophy list at 79%, so did you. We then have Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, which yeah, Doki Doki, cool. We then have Dragon Age Inquisition, about half done. It looks like you've just done the base game, but no DLC stuff. Dragon Age Inquisition is kind of a hard one. I've platinumed that 3 times. That's 3 too many. The first Dragon Age, amazing. These are semi-open world, kind of like regional open world, I guess you would say, where you go to a region that is decently sized with a bunch of collectibles and side quests and stuff. You do the stuff there, you do the main story, you move to the next one. The first game is amazing. The second game is poop. But the DLC in the second game is actually pretty good. And then Inquisition has this weird thing, and I have this issue with Kingdoms of Amalur as well, where they almost tried to make it a single-player MMO. And MMOs are boring when you just do the regular gameplay of little side quests and stuff, which means when you amplify them in a single-player environment, it makes them worse. And Dragon Age Inquisition definitely suffers from that. You have a lot of side quests that are going out and killing 6 rams for meat and stuff like that. And it just sort of over and over again became very not fun. We then have Dragon Ball Z Budokai HD Collection done in 2015. This is a very early Platinum for you. Quite a lot of the Platinums we've seen so far have been fairly recent, actually, like in the last year or two. I am curious, L0sT. I know that your first trophy and your first Platinum were in the same game, but were you always a trophy hunter, or did you sort of have a lull period in the middle that you've then gone back and done a lot of cleanup in? I'd definitely be interested to know, mate. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Collection took up nearly 10 years. No, it didn't. You did it nearly 10 years ago. It took you 6 days and 23 hours. Dying Light, you dabbled in but didn't get too much into. That's fair enough. I love Dying Light myself, even if the games are a little bit buggy. I just like zombie open world parkour simulators. I find that very, very enjoyable, and those absolutely tailored to it. I also really liked in the first Dying Light, especially how you had essentially 2 little open worlds that were separated. You had the slums, and then you had the like medieval architectured, more dense urban area. That was quite a cool. I think it was called the Town. That was quite a cool contrast. We then have EA UFC Sports. Ooh, oh no. How many trophies are missable? How many are unobtainable, rather? 9 unobtainable trophies. Let's go into it. Let's have a look. Do you have all the unobtainable trophies? I've got my fingers crossed, mate. We've got 3 so far. 4. Nice. But we don't have those 2. Oh, L0sT. That sucks to see. I'm sorry to see that, mate. That is very, very unfortunate. UFC obviously being the fighting games based on the sport, the UFC. Think Conor McGregor. We then have Elden Ring. You dabbled in but didn't like. Okay. Or just didn't get into. I'm not sure if you disliked it, but a lot of people love Elden Ring. It's funny for me personally. So Elden Ring is Dark Souls but open world. Would be the easiest way to summarize that. Elden Ring was funny for me because I enjoyed it at the time. I loved it. I had some great experiences with it. I worked on a lore video with Missing Collectible. Go check them out on YouTube. Shout out. You'll hear my beautiful voice. Makes it so worth it. Worked very hard with Peter from Missing Collectible over there to work out a lot of the lore for the game. Spent a lot of time on it. It was a blast. Since finishing and getting the Platinum, I've had no desire to go back to Elden Ring. Like, I could go and get the PS5 version. I could go get the stack. I could experience the game again. But for some reason, I just don't want to. And I find that interesting. We then have Fallout 4. You're a little bit of a chunk of the way into. These are post-apocalyptic open world games where you make your own character. There's some faction storylines. You've got a lot of settlement stuff. This one was kind of annoying. You had trophies involving your own settlements. You had to build them all houses and beds and stuff like this to maintain their happiness. One of the trophies was to have them at 99 happiness or above 90, something like that. It was quite high. And the way to do it, I remember, was you just made a bunch of alcohol stands. And that seemed to make them all happy. Now, the more I think about it, the more if I had a bed and 68 like beer stands, I'd be pretty happy too. So that does make sense. We then have Far Cry Primal. It's your only Far Cry. I would definitely say if you didn't like Far Cry Primal, give 3, 4, or 6 a go. Those are definitely better games than Primal. Primal being the caveman experience of the Far Cries. Next up, we have Ghost of Tsushima with the cheeky platinum, and I want to say Ishi Island might be done here too. Let's go into this one. This being the very large, fairly impressive open world samurai game on Tsushima, which is the island. Geez, my brain is shutting down right there. So we have a good chunk of the raids done, actually. You've done some New Game Plus as well. You haven't finished New Game Plus or the raids. It looks like rank 20 with all roles and all 3 raid chapters. Okay. But you've done a good chunk of the grind to already have 1 at rank 20, which is good. And then you've also done some of the rivalry stuff, which I think I've done. I know, again, I did this with my good friend Peter from Missing Collectibles. I went and helped him boost stuff because, you know, he needs my skill when it comes to completing games. 1 like equals 1 prayer for Peter. We then have a lot of God of Wars here. Ooh, I love to see this. God of War 1, hack and slash. God of War 2018, not a hack and slash. Slow burn, very story-driven game. Still pretty good, though. God of War 3, the best in my opinion. Back to the hack and slash. You can get the remastered version on PS4 as well, which I think was on PS Plus years and years and years ago now. I want to say like 2015 or so. And then Ascension and Chains of Olympus, I believe, are both the originally portable games that were then ported to the PS3 as well. That are also pretty good. I would love a collection of these one day on the PS5. Hopefully when Ragnarok releases later this year, we get like a complete collection or something out that I can finally go back and have that juicy completion on my account. We then have Gran Turismo 7. This came out this year, I believe. This is a racing game from the infamous Gran Turismo series. If you know about games like GT5, for example, with the license plate trophies, very difficult, essentially requires steering wheels. I believe 7 is a lot more forgiving, hence the 10% completion rate. I definitely reckon L0sT you'll be able to go back and smash that out at some point. We then have GTA 5 on the PS3, which has quite a lot of trophies shut, 27 of them, because the online servers closed very recently, although it's been unobtainable for a few years now because the trophy Run Like the Wind, which is where someone puts a bounty on you and you've got to survive a set number of hours. I believe it's 24 hours without dying in-game. That's been unobtainable for years now. They've just fully closed the servers at this point as well. We then have Gree or Gris. This is a very artsy indie game that I've heard really good things about. So L0sT, you'll have to tell me if this is worth playing at some point. I believe the boys from Plat'n highly rate Gree. So it's definitely on my to-do list. We then have Hades. This is the roguelike where you are trying to escape the underworld, the Greek underworld. You've got a lot of Greek gods and stuff making cameos. Hades is there, believe it or not. Poseidon, they're all there. Zeus, all the big hitters, and all some of the little hitters. I have 1 trophy in Hades because this is a roguelike, so you make a run. If you die, you go back to the start, but you keep your upgrades and stuff like this, and you progress. I need to go back to Hades at some point. I just don't have access to it currently, frustratingly, because it's an E rank. So if I get that done, which it's not a hard platinum, hence the 27.75% completion rate, that'll definitely bump my account up quite a bit. We then have Horizon Forbidden West. This is a glitch. That game doesn't exist. Horizon Zero Dawn. This is the open world game where you fight mechanized dinosaurs. Story's kind of okay. You play as a girl who's trying to work out where she fits in the world. She's an outcast to her tribe, stuff like this. The story obviously explores this a lot more in depth. The gameplay is very fun. All of the different types of mechanized dinosaur have different attacks, different weaknesses, different behaviors. There's a fair bit of depth there. I'd love to see a sequel for Horizon Zero Dawn at some point. We then hit Infamous Second Son. This is the first of the 2 PS4 Infamous games. You are a guy who has smoke superpowers. At first, you then unlock some more, like Neon is one of them, and I think Digital is one of them, I think they call it. It's kind of cool. You're running around Seattle, I believe, is the setting. The story's very forgettable. The characters are very forgettable, which I think is why the first 2 games are more special for a lot of people, because Cole was an interesting character. I can't even... What is that guy's name in Second Son? I think it's Delson. I think the guy's name is Delson, but don't quote me on that. We then have It Takes Two's 100%. We got a lot of 100% here. Lost. I'd love to see that. But It Takes Two, this is another one like A Way Out, where you and a partner are working together to overcome a bunch of challenges. Very, very quirky one. This is probably the one I would rather do of the 2 of them, like if I had to prioritize one. I watched some good friends of mine play this at one point, so I know like little bits of the story, little bits of the puzzles, and it looks amazing. We then have Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is a sore point for me. This game is glitched for me currently. I can't get one of the trophies for unlocking all of the chests. I've done the hard difficulty. I've done most of the other stuff. I just can't do the collectibles because one chest refuses to open. This is, think Pixar meets Dark Souls with a fairly pretty open world. I believe that once you beat the game, there's like no enemies. So if you've got combat trophies, definitely focus on them as you play through the game and pray that the chests like you enough to open. We then have a pair of Kingdom Hearts here. We got the first game. You've done 4 of 56 trophies. I'm guessing you didn't really get into it too much, but you did smash out Kingdom Hearts 538-2 in less than an hour, which is super impressive. Next up, we've got the first Mafia remaster. In my opinion, the best of the Mafias. The story in this one is very interesting, about a dude who's essentially brought in and then gets out again. The race on the hardest difficulty can go stuff itself. That thing took me like a week of attempts. I didn't like it very much. They went with a very, because it's set in the 1930s, I want to say. They went with what would be realistic to the time in terms of mechanics, and did that car not want to listen to your inputs. We then have Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is one I need to do myself. I've been thinking about doing a video on that game on the channel at some point, so do let me know if you'd be interested in that. This is essentially a sequel to Marvel's Spider-Man, but with Miles Morales as the front and center hero, and I've heard very good things about it. We then have Medal of Honor. This is the 2009 series reboot, I guess you would call it, of the Medal of Honor series, this being the original Call of Duty. These things were everywhere on the PS2. Medal of Honor Frontline being very fond to me. That was a early game in my childhood, which probably explains how I've turned out now that I think about it. The 2009 version is actually very, very beefy here. You can see the 3.29% ultra rare is always lovely to see. I think there's quite a bit of multiplayer in this and quite a difficulty campaign. Monopoly Plus, I think this is on PS Plus now. This is just Monopoly, believe it or not. We've got Monster Hunter World here. This is a game that I'm actually working through myself with a couple legends from the Discord. Shout out to Epic for carrying me through every boss fight. But Monster Hunter World is a semi-open world game where you take on different contracts to defeat different types of monsters. You can kill them, you can capture them, you get resources from them that then go into upgrading weapons and all that fun stuff. It's a very fun gameplay loop. The game is very complex. I think there's about 15 different weapon types, and they are all, you need a degree to work out how to use them effectively, some of them. But very, very fun game. Definitely one I'd recommend. But the gold crowns, which you need to find the biggest monster and the smallest of each species. RNG, of course, to determine if you get that. Some of them you'll be going at a while, and some of those bosses are very annoying to fight. We then have the Naruto games here in Shippuden Ultra Ninja Storm 3, Shippuden Ultra Ninja Storm Generations, Shippuden Ultra Ninja Storm Revolutions, and Ultimate Ninja Storm. That one didn't get to be a Shippuden apparently, which feels bad for that one. One of these is your first game on the account, and I want to say that it is Naruto Shippuden Ultra Ninja Storm Generations. You did it in October of 2012, which is nearly a decade. That's kind of cool. We're coming up on your decade of trophy hunting there. Although, like I said before, I am curious if you were a trophy hunter the entire time or if that's more something you've come back to in the last 3 years, do let me know. It's just a bit of a pattern that I've noticed going through the account so far, that a lot of these platinums are like 2020 to 2022. So do let us know if that is the case or not. We then have Neo on the PS5. I always forget that there is a port of this on the PS5. I should look into it. I played the PS4 version for maybe 5 minutes when it was free on PS Plus, I think in 2020. Didn't really like the gameplay. From memory, you use the action buttons to attack and stuff, and that sort of felt a bit weird. I know the DLC trophies are brutal. There's a lot of replaying the game over and over and over again for certain trophies. Not my cup of tea, but maybe I'll go and do that. Or maybe I'll just do Neo 2 at some point, because I know that is a fairly good improvement on the game. We then have Overcooked All You Can Eat. This is one that we've seen quite a few times on the series as well. This is a game where you and your friends have to satisfy a number of customers. You've got to get 3 stars on every map, all that sort of fun stuff. I don't know if you do need to do that on All You Can Eat, because All You Can Eat is Overcooked 1 and 2 combined, I believe. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. This was Sony's answer to Super Smash Bros. Because we've only had one of these, you can see exactly how that went. You've got all the popular characters like Kratos, Nathan Drake, all duking it out. It looks like 8 trophies are unobtainable. These would have been multiplayer fights. We then have Pyre, which I've heard good things about Pyre too. Actually, this is another cheeky little indie game here that you smashed out in 5 days and 34 minutes for a cheeky 19.02% completion rate. We've got some Ratchet and Clanks here with the 2016 semi-reboot, semi-movie tie-in game that was actually fairly good. I do wish that they had not cut as much content from the original as they had. Several planets were cut, for example. A couple of planets that are featured in the game you go to for maybe 5 minutes and then never again. Rift Apart, a lot of people love. I found just kind of average. I'd probably play the 2016 game before I do Rift Apart again, in all honesty. I just found it very forgettable. I thought that the new characters were good, but the worlds themselves were sort of a little bit, they were very pretty, but I didn't find them very memorable. Sackboy, A Big Adventure. This is the spin-off of the Little Big Planet games, featuring the iconic mascot Sackboy as he sort of traverses through levels with different platforming and stuff like that. You can do the game in co-op, which is probably how I will do it at some point in the near future. Seasons After the Fall. This is another game that I know nothing about this. It's free on PS Plus Extra. I actually have it downloaded. I've been meaning to play this myself because it looks interesting. That bear is just vibing, and I am all for that. We then get Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection. This is a bundle of games that were released on the Mega Drive back in the 90s that have been ported to the PlayStation 3, and I think there might be a PlayStation 4 version or a Collection 2 or something along those lines. Sekiro's 100%. I find it interesting that you have Sekiro 100% but not Bloodborne. I'd be interested to see why that is, because I do know that Sekiro is a lot more of a finicky sort of game, I guess you would say. One that a lot of people don't like as much, just because a lot of it is very parry based, and that's a mechanic that some people aren't the biggest fans of. We've got Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition 100% here. We've got a good little chunk 100% right here. Ruined by Evil Within, which I'm not surprised because that game sucks. But we've got Sleeping Dogs here. This is set in Hong Kong. I got it right this time, I think. You play as an undercover police officer. You've got different levels of infamy with both the triad world and the police world. So if you are driving along and you run someone over, you're going to lose reputation for the police, whereas you might gain it for beating someone to death with the triad. You then have the DLC, which kind of sucks. But I would definitely say that the base game is definitely more than worth knocking that out, and you get a juicy 20% platinum there as well, so what's not to love. We then have the Stick of Truth. This is the first of the 2 South Park games. These are amazing. I believe Ubisoft was involved on them, so as an Ubisoft shill, go Team Woo. This is the one that's medieval based. The second game is superhero based. I prefer this one more. I just find this one a lot more memorable. A lot of the jokes and stuff really land in the stick of truth. I'm thinking about some of them now that I am not going to describe for this video. That's, just... Wow. That's all I'm going to say. Wow. Definitely give Stick of Truth a go. But have a guide up because there's a million missable trophies right there. We then have the first Spyro, but not the rest. That's interesting. I'm guessing you just found the first one boring because it took you 5 months. I know a lot of people smash Spyro out in less than a week kind of thing. It's essentially just a collectathon. You go through the world, you save the dragons, you pick the gems up. Tekken 7, this is the only Tekken on PS4, I believe. This is one of those famous fighting game series that we've all grown up with. I played a lot of these back on the PS1 back in the day. I haven't played Tekken 7 yet. I think there's multiplayer tied to it, but I'm not entirely sure. The Artful Escape, this is an interesting game. I really only played it because I think it was Carl Weathers is one of the voice actors in it, and that sold me. And it's an Annapurna game, and those are surprisingly very fun. They're definitely not Metallica in quality, but essentially all you do in the Artful Escape is run right. I'm now going to just juxtapose myself by saying that this is an easy peasy, but the rest of them aren't. You essentially run right and do some quick time events, but it's very artsy. Carl Weathers is very good in it. I would say it's okay. It's forgettable. It took me a few days myself just because it was not my kind of game normally. We then have The Evil Within. This was by, I believe, the creator of... I think it's the creator of Resident Evil came back to do a horror game. Kind of missed the mark. The gameplay in this is very, very finicky. I had a lot of issues with screen juttering, where it would like sort of stutter as you were moving around and made me very sick watching it. Akumi mode is kind of rough. The 100% is kind of rough. It's one that I need to go back and do myself. I think I have around 26 of 72 trophies myself. You did it this year. I did it for Halloween last year on stream. Maybe I'll go back to it this Halloween. Probably not. We then have The Witcher, not 100%. Okay, I'm curious. Is it Death March? Is Death March what's holding you from the 100% here? So, yep. So Death March there. And the Platinum, I think that's the 3 trophies. Let's just scroll down real quick. Oh, no, we got one in the... We've got a few in the DLC, actually. We've got collect all the available Aetheri armor, a horse gear, and at least one Aetheri sword. Those are literally just a camps around the map. I don't think any of those are missable. Be decorated with the Order of Vitus Vinifera. I think that's just for doing everything on the map. I think that's for just going and uncovering all of the... Or maybe it's no. Maybe those 2 trophies are both tied to an ending, because I remember there was like a split ending or something like that for the game. Yeah, maybe you just haven't finished that DLC's ending. Okay. But I mean, at the same time, 88% for 73 of 79 trophies is definitely still very impressive there, Lost. We've got Uncharted Drake's Fortune Remastered. No Platinum trophy, though. I'm guessing you just didn't do Crushing. Or the DLCs such as the speedruns, brutal difficulty, those fun stuff. Uncharted being the Indiana Jones meets Tomb Raider. Fun action romps where if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, Nate is a serial killer. We then have Undertale. This is... It's Undertale. It was all over the internet several years ago, a little quirky RPG sort of thing. I need to play it myself at some point. I think one of the trophies is for like taking 10 years to beat the game, but you can just use the internal clock on your console and turn it 10 years forward to pop that trophy. We then have Until Dawn. This is the first of those horror-based, essentially Telltale-like games where you're controlling characters through dialogue interactions and event scenarios, I guess you would say. So like, you know, you might run up to a fork in the road and you have 30 seconds to decide which way you're going to go kind of thing. And those different decisions you make do affect the outcomes. There's a few big actors in this. Remy Malek is in Until Dawn. Hayden Panettiere is in here as well, who I think I forgot her name in a previous episode. It's Hayden Panettiere. Very good one. I like Until Dawn. I do need to get the Platinum on Symmetry. I do have it on my older account, Mud Stuff, and it then obviously inspired the Dark Pictures anthology, so Man of Medan, House of Ash, and whatever the other one's called. And then The Quarry as well, which is another one I really want to play. What Remains of Edith Finch, this is another 100% without a platinum trophy. It's a very fun one where you play as someone investigating their family house and sort of reliving the tragedies of the family over the many generations. I believe it's just had a PS5 port with a platinum trophy, so maybe I'll go for that at some point here. But 5 hours and 51 minutes for the PS4 version is very impressive. And then our final game here is an absolute banger. We're ending this account on an absolute heavyweight here with Yakuza 0, which is a game where you play as a member of the Yakuza in oh no, it's in Japan. It's in Japan. I don't know what the city is. I don't even know if they're real cities or if they're fictional. I haven't played Yakuza. I just know a lot about them through my good friend Matt. So shout out to Matt. No, I will not play Storybook Brawl. The trophies are very hard. You got things like doing mahjong. There's a lot of trophies for doing a lot of the side activities. You have a lot of like gacha games, mahjong, karaoke, all that sort of fun stuff. But you smashed it out, actually. You did it very fast with a month and 1 week, which is awesome to see there. So as you can see by the stats here, we have 82 completed games with a fairly good split there. We've got 20 PS5 games, 45 PS4 games, 16 PS3, and then a multi-platform that'd probably be PS4. A sub 50% average rarity with 49.07. I always love to see sub 50%. We then have your average completion rate overall is an 82.34%, which is great to see. And then like I thought here, I did think that we had quite a large break here. So it looks like he did take a break between honestly around mid 2015 right the way through to 2019 before jumping back on and absolutely skyrocketing up. So congratulations there, L0sT. Now, if you would like your own account looked at, do either join the Discord, the Platinum Standard, the link will be below, or put it in the comments below, and I will see you next week. I miss you already. Goodbye.